Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Here, as usual, playing around, having some fun, and with my co-hosts, we have Karen Chin with us. Say hi, Karen.
Hi everyone, I am back and I am ready for today's show. I'm out here in San Francisco. It's sunny. You can see the kind of the sun behind me a little bit. We've had a lot of rain, and so hopefully today we won't have as much. But I'm excited. And Christmas is like what another week from now? I think.
This week, yeah.
This week, right? So
This
it's
this
like,
week, starting the countdown, I believe, is 6 days from now.
wow. See, it's like it's faster than I even thought.
Yeah, it's crazy, crazy stuff. All right, thank you, Karen. Welcome back. Glad to have you here. And we're just having some casual fun today, and this will be kind of interesting too. We have Molly Youngblood Geiger, and she's coming to us via mobile, so we're going to watch her icon. We won't be able to see her face, unfortunately, and so we won't be able to see when she smiles and cheers, but we're going to have her join us anyway. So Molly, can you hear us, and you want to chime in?
Yeah, hey everyone, it's Molly Youngblood Geiger. I'm actually traveling from Jacksonville up to Douglas, Georgia today on a quick trip, but I couldn't miss out on the show. I'm excited to talk about our topic this afternoon.
Cool. And I went ahead, actually I think I white boxed you the whole time that you were talking, but I went ahead and advanced the volume in the control room, so I believe it might be a little better on the outboard side. When you're speaking, your voice will come in a little stronger for the recording and for the people who are listening today. So welcome everybody, and welcome to the show, which I've long since given up trying to worry about calling it a show. I guess it's a show. But this is going to be an interesting one. But first I want to say hi to a few people. Gary has been in and around since yesterday. And Gary Whalen, thank you for being with us, and I believe he's in the audience today. We've been chatting back and forth. Then one of the early people to come in was Nathan Siegel, and we have an interesting theme to show people about Nathan being here today. Then there's Carlos Savio, welcome. Nice having you around. And Dr. Margaret Aranda is out in the audience. I owe these people some chat time, and I'm looking forward to it. So there's that. But something I was going to show you is these hangouts are interesting animals. They're live and they have a mind of their own. And even though there was a comment made by Nathan Siegel, it doesn't show up in the chat stream. So I wanted to just show this, that he says, sorry you're not doing the blab. I was hoping to see you there. So first of all, there's the blab that we usually do on Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties, and I didn't do it this week for a couple reasons. This has been a very hectic week, for one thing. Secondly, the blab is usually to discuss the subject of the day. But the subject of the day is, what is your takeaway? Not necessarily mine, but yours and yours and yours and yours, all of you out there in the audience. What is your takeaway, what you learned this year, whether you learned it on Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties or not? And Dr. Aranda, Dr. Margaret says, wouldn't miss this for anything. I love it. She says it's her favorite time of the week. That's my takeaway right there. It's her favorite time of the week. And I want to prove that she said that, so I'm going to show that now. And there it is. So wouldn't miss it for anything. It's my favorite time of the week. You never know what to expect, and that's the truth. I guess it's the truth about this show. You never know what to expect. But
Roland, also too, you get great satisfaction. I know at the end of the show when we're at the green room, you get like such a high, and I know it takes you a long time to calm down from the high.
Oh, yeah.
Because of what happened within the hour or so of us talking.
This is maybe my favorite hour of the week also, Dr. Margaret, and we get to expose what we're thinking. I was going to say expose ourselves, but I guess we shouldn't do that online. I'm live at that.
I would actually add too that this is definitely my favorite hour of the week, and why I am traveling in a vehicle right now and I'm on the Hangout. So thanks for having me.
What a great set of testimonials. I love it, and I thank you very much, Molly. That means a lot to me that you share that with us, because being here, we deal with a couple of concepts that I see people trying to deal with every single show that they produce, and yet I won't even say who, because that would be very, very deadly for my future. But I will say that a good half of them that try fail to be authentic and genuine. Now, you people know, if I talk to you, if I had you on the show, if I've been on your show, a lot of you, this does not apply to you. But there are some people whose shows I've seen that I feel it's impossible. They do not know what the definition of genuine and authentic is. And the idea starts with being authentic, and being genuine is being yourself. It's not being what you think the other people want to see, or putting on a special something to make yourself look better so that you're different from what you really are. Because if you're being authentic and genuine, it doesn't matter what color t-shirt it is, even though I'm hooked on the blue. And it doesn't matter if you've got an elephant on your shoulder, or a bear wall in the background, or a backdrop with your logo. It doesn't matter if you're being authentic. But when you are not authentic, nothing that you put in your backdrop, nothing you wear on your clothes, or the kind of headset you put on your head, nothing will change the fact that you suck. I mean, think about it. Oh, wow, I don't believe I said that. But maybe you can take it from here, Karen, because I could go on this subject for a while.
Well, I know. I mean, like I said, I think from where we started a year ago, I mean, I was like, I'm still listening. Oh, there's my dog. Wait a second.
You're welcome.
Doorbell just rang, and just the dog.
That's cool.
Mango, come. So what I was going to say was, I think from the start of this year, Mango, please. From the start of this year, you guys want to see Mango? Mango, come here.
Yeah, let's meet your dog.
Let's meet my dog. Okay. This is my dog.
He just wanted to be a part of the show. He goes, I deserve.
What a cutie!
So
Yes.
what I was gonna say was that, from the start of the year to where we are today, I think a lot of our personalities have come out, our true personalities, or our actual personalities off air is on air, right? In the sense of that. And I also think that with the audience, they've kind of grown with us too. We're part of that kind of coffee clash, right? At the coffee shop every Saturday morning now with our cups of coffee and having a good time.
Absolutely.
Of course, the topic of the day.
Absolutely. And it's a lot of fun being normal. And my dad told me something a long, long, long time ago. Maybe some of the few words of wisdom that I actually adhered to at the time that he was speaking, because you know that so many sons don't listen to their dads, or try not to, or think of reasons why they're full of BS, So I mean, I wasn't indifferent from that, or non-different from that, or whatever the term would be. But my dad said, always tell the truth, and you don't have to remember what you said. I mean, how much more genuine can you get?
That's words of wisdom when you think about it, right? I mean, when you think about what your parents have taught you and what they have shared with you at a small age until you get older, and then you get kind of the words of wisdom, and it kind of sinks into you probably about, 25 to 30, you realize your parents are actually right, which is kind of scary. And then you become your parents, right? I mean, that's a whole other subject we could talk about, Rowan.
Yeah, well, that's a philosophical thing that won't be included in the discussion, although it might be something we tackle in my Smarties show that is morphing into what is the positive, which is the second thing that I'm going to be producing here. So I'll plug my own show. What is the positive works with the positivity science, or the science of positivity, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to stage it on Tuesdays and see where it goes. But anyway, the whole concept of being authentic and genuine is probably more important than all the rest of your marketing issues. I mean, how you do it, what you do, whatever, you have to be genuine and authentic. And people, the reason this has become such a catchphrase or catch terms this last year is that so many people deal with, gee, I've got to make money, I'm going on the internet, and I've got to find a way to make money. And they focus on that, and that cuts through all the preliminary stuff, and the people go right for the how do I make a buck? How do I make a buck? And so it's hard to be genuine when you've got that as a precursor to yourself. When you come on board, it's like, for instance, when you meet somebody in public, IRL, in real life, and you're networking at a network meeting, you remember the guy that came up to you and said, "Hi, how the hell are you? My name is so-and-so. Here's my card." And they got to get their card in your hand the soonest possible. And my modus operandi was completely different. I never led with my card. As a matter of fact, I start out with, "Hi, how are you? Nice day, huh? What do you do?" Or even before the "what do you do," it's like, "Who are you? What do you like? What are you into? Why are you here? Or what's going on in your life?" And then, "What do you do?" And then it's like, "Okay, yeah, I'm interested in what you do, and I want to speak to you further, and we can't possibly achieve the conversation during the course of a networking session, so let me have your card and I'll give you a call in the future." Not, "Here's my card." I always ask for the other person's card too. So part of the processing for me was always build a relationship. Build the relationship. Because without the relationship, the card doesn't matter. And it's the same thing as in online communications. You've got to build the relationship. So Smarties has been around for a year, as you were saying, and a year ago we were starting off with some principles and things that we would call the divine laws of marketing or the divine laws of outreach. And some of them were outbound is out and inbound is in. Give first and help others as a bottom line of your mantra. And you could almost add the concept of do no harm.
Mm-hmm.
But doesn't that go without saying? I mean, do we have to incorporate that in our mission statement? Do no harm to do business online? No, that should be just part of our nature, part of what we do, part of who we are. We should all be out there doing no harm. And yet people miss that when they go for the, I got to make a buck, got to find a way to make profit online, got to sell my book, got to sell my product, got to get a contract. When they focus on that, they inadvertently do some harm. Very often, not everybody, but it can happen.
I mean, I guess to add to that, Roland, what my biggest pet peeve at networking events are people who come up to you and basically hand their card to you, talk to you for 3 minutes to figure out who you are, what you are, if you are any value to them, and then if they find that you are no value, they just walk away from you, which I always find really offensive. And then, but it's even more hyper, I think, online, where you find people who don't even cut to the chase of that. They just kind of size you up and figure out whether you're worth something or not to them. If you're not, then they move on. And to me, it's like you don't even know who this person is, because it does take time to build that relationship. It does take time to kind of share, your thoughts, that you just don't blur it out to someone within the first 15 seconds, right, of meeting someone. And online, it just makes it even worse. So to me, it's just much more hyper active than anything else.
Exactly, and it's the phrase "it's a numbers game" always comes back to me. And whoever tells me that, I know that they're focused on the concept of traditional marketing, outbound marketing, display marketing, broadcast marketing, all the terms that I just have trouble digesting. Yes, there's a place for broadcasting, but it's so much more effective to do an interactive outreach such as these hangouts where you're talking to people and building the relationship.
Actually, Ron, I would actually throw in there engagement marketing, meaning once you get on social, once you start doing hangouts and putting yourself online, when people comment or they like or they share, engage with that person and make sure that that person knows that you're there, you're engaging with their content.
Exactly. And it's something that I said, oh my God, it was the first quarter of this year. I said during one of our hangouts, I proclaimed the engagement marketing, and I've been using that phrase regularly. And even Zara, when she was in our hangout with us that day, hi Zara, I know you're not with us, and maybe you'll watch the replay. We love you, by the way. I mean, I wish you were on every week, and maybe I could catch you more often. But Zara, when she heard that, she goes, engagement marketing. And I could almost mentally see her writing it down, engagement marketing. And it struck me that we do it all the time, but we just needed to give it a title. Well, I'm not the one that gave it a title, but I definitely use it, and I definitely am embracing it as part of my regular thing, because that engagement is all about the building of the relationship. So you can't have one without the other. They go hand in hand. So the question for today, and we could start, I'm going to put Molly on the spot first and see what happens here. But when we set you free, Molly,
Yes.
what is your takeaway for 2015 as some of the biggest things, or the one thing, hopefully, that is your takeaway from what you've learned this year?
One of my takeaways would be to make sure and make use of video and mobile marketing. I mean, kind of like what I'm doing right now. I am not at a physical location, but here I am. I'm still on the Hangout. I'm using my mobile device to still participate. And I think when you have something that strong, that your customers have that same ability. They're out there on their mobile device. They're out there looking at your website. They're out there looking at your social profiles. You have to make sure and market yourself towards mobile, because that's where your customers are at.
That's for sure, and that emulates basically what R&D Hotline has been preaching. We talk about the Internet Marketing Tripod, which is your website, which is social media, which is video. So those are the three things. But one of the things about website is responsive, mobile first, but not only. So I agree with you totally. Embracing this, we must be mobile, or at least be compatible with mobile, and outreaching for mobile first, but not only. And then we have to use video. And I've been telling these people this stuff for 2 or 3 years now, and have had such a low audience that I decided to do a hangout myself, and that's why the birth of Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties came along, and that's why you joined me, and that's why Karen joined in, and here we are. By the way, we're going to say hello to Randy Smith, who just joined us recently here. Glad to have you, Randy. Thank you for coming. And anyway, thank you very much, Molly. And Karen, what do you think?
I was going to chime in. I think mobile is really important. I'm also finding, just from my own personal business, is that I've been studying a lot on YouTube lately. And I find that, again, rolling back to that authenticity, it's like the ones that have more popular channels are the ones that you feel a personal connection with. And you can do that with video, but your personality has to show out. And I find that that's really key for business, and for engagement, and also for businesses to come to you, because if you have those audiences, businesses are going to be attracted to you because you have a following. The other thing I also find for this year, I think for me specifically, is community and community management. Having your own tribe, your group that thinks the way you think, or shares your ideas, or an open forum, whatever your topic may be, or your subject. I think that is also, to me, one of my biggest takeaways this year, that it feels like, even though we're such a big global space, the world itself, but yet I find, even in my own personal world, that I have now friends all over the world in many different time zones, and that I would have never had that without Google. And that your business is much more not than just your area or your region. I mean, it could be across the world if you so choose.
Agreed. I think that that's really a huge, huge thing. And when I think of you, I think of social media and the communities. I mean, obviously, I met you, then joined your community, and suddenly I was going global. I had a Southern California, Orange County outreach, and that's why we're the Saturday morning marketing Smarties, because it's only Saturday morning at 11 o'clock in a certain segment of the globe. And here we are, Saturday morning marketing Smarties, but we have people watching us, and it's in the evening. It's in the middle of the night. It's like late in the afternoon, and I'm appreciative of that. But I couldn't change my name, so we're still Saturday morning marketing Smarties. But we realize that people reach us from all over, and I really appreciate the fact that you've reserved whatever part of your day it is, because if it's Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, there are a lot of things you could be doing, and it's Saturday. But here I am, and this is the way I love to spend my Saturday mornings. I get up slow, have my coffee, and chat with friends. So that's me, and that leads on to my takeaway. But when I think of you, Karen, I think of communities, and I think of relationship building, and that's how I completely see you. And you taught me a lot about those things.
And I would actually add to that, Roland. I think what a good point that Karen brought up is the fact that, with the Hangouts and marketing yourself on social media, you actually do develop an audience.
I'm sorry, it kind of cut out the last word. You do develop and
Pinterest, there's a variety of different platforms, and when you can develop yourself and people know about who you are and what you do, that is how you can market yourself and gain more customers online.
absolutely.
I mean,
And
it goes back to the whole idea that, I mean, it really comes to fruition where your brand is yourself. How you project yourself online, as you would in real life, it says a lot about you and whether or not people want to be associated with you. And you got to keep that as clean, or however you want to do it, but however you want your persona to be, that's how you should project yourself. And I think the brand itself, I mean, everyone now is their own Nike, their own Legos. I mean, Star Wars, right? You want to have an association of positivity. Back to your upcoming endeavors, Roland. But the idea is that, again, keeping it together where you're projecting yourself and how you carry yourself just says so much more now than it's ever been because of the technology that we live in today.
really does. One of the things that I was realizing the other day is basically you cannot separate selling from giving.
Mm-hmm.
We started this Hangout series over a year ago, and what I was telling people is basically, if you want to watch this show, you have to understand this one thing. You have to be willing to give first.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying that even the first few episodes, you have to give first. If you're not willing to give first, turn the knob, because we are going to run into problems somewhere along the line. And at some point, you're going to bail on me, and I'll be just as happy to let you go. But that's definitely the community building concept is what I think about for you, and you build up a percentage of response and interaction and engagement bigger than I've ever seen anywhere, and that's you. So
yeah, I mean, I see it as, I mean, part of it I see it as like it's to me it's like a party. You want to keep people engaged. You want to make sure people who may not know people, bring them into the room and meet the other people, and it's just you gotta have to navigate and get that engagement going and the conversation going. And once it starts, as you know, it just doesn't stop.
absolutely.
So you have to kind of prod people, because people are shy. I mean, people are shy in real life as they are shy online. And once you get them going and talking and connecting people who may know a particular subject that another person is interested in, and you make that connection, not only are they happy, but they're happy with you because they know you as the person who's the connector.
Absolutely. Thank you, Karen. Now, my assessment of Molly. Of course, I'm not encapsulating everything that you are or everything that you do in the brief statement that I'm going to say on a little segment of the Smarties show. But here's what sticks in my mind that you bring to the table and that you presented to people is the spirit of which you do things. Because you have the give first attitude, you've always have, and you're out there doing it daily, minutely, giving and helping people. And so the basic mantra that they use to design Hangouts and design Google Plus, helping people and educating people, this is exactly what you do and it's in your wheelhouse. But we add to that one other thing that is characteristic of you and demonstrative of what you've done that is unmistakable, and it's probably the one factor and the one piece of the puzzle, the spice that makes the dish, is that you have this mantra that you said recently in several different Hangouts with me and probably elsewhere, and that is the two words, don't quit. And that speaks for perseverance. You know, nothing stronger than that. Your education, your degrees, how well you're liked, the amount of money in your pocket does not trump perseverance. And a famous man put it differently, but that's mainly what you need to know. Hi, Gary. Sounds like Gary came back. He was gone for a while, but welcome back. And I would want to know, Gary, I want to know for next week, if you can make it to the Saturday morning Marketing Smarties at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time next Saturday. It's the day after Christmas, and I'm going to be twiddling my thumbs anyway as my sweetheart goes to work, so I'm just wondering, Gary, are you going to be available? And I have a very good reason for asking. So there's the question for you. But anyway, back to Molly. She puts forth this concept of don't quit, but she has demonstrated, she has persevered. She started out with nothing, not even an internet connection, and she turned that into being a Google guru who is rising star and just elevated in all the ranks because of her giving, not because of what she does or the name of her product, or she's not famous for all the things she does individually. She's famous for her helping and for her giving. And anyone can do this. And Molly shows us how to do it. So if you're going to follow anybody, follow Molly. And I think that's a really good idea.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. I had to kind of drop off for a minute, but yeah, it's been really through perseverance, and the old adage, just don't quit. Just keep it up, keep trying, keep practicing, keep learning, keep moving forward. And when you do that, you'll see that you'll find your own personal success, because it's something, like you mentioned, when I started out, I didn't have anything. I had an old computer and I had a stack of books, and it was through perseverance in learning and keep trying, and just, I have a catchphrase, it's, when you give up, you lose. So you don't want to lose, so you can't give up.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'll hold off one thing that I'm going to say. I'm going to give you my takeaway for the year. But before I go on, I would like to invite someone into the green room, and his name is Carlo, and I hope you accept the invitation and you'll pop in here. He's been on several things that I've done recently, and that is because Carlo and I are pretty much in tune with each other and what our goals are and what our philosophies and our principles are. Very, very similar. So what I would like to do is ask Carlo if he's available. If he doesn't respond in a few minutes, he may have left. Maybe he got tired of me. No, I'm just kidding. But I would like to ask him this question live and have him answer it live. So if you're available, Carlo, come on in and we'll see you in a minute. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for Carlo, I wanted to review a few things that Smarties started with and concepts that we built this program, this show about a year ago. So the good news is we started out a year ago with these principles, and they still hold true. They're still important, and it shows that we were on the right track. So here they are. These are basically the laws behind the focus and the purpose of Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. And that is, give first and help others. When the pitching goes up, the sales go down. the concept that basically speaks in avoiding getting caught up in traditional marketing. Outbound is out and inbound is in. Still holds true. And then the fourth one is right up with Karen, build relationships and communities. That was the whole concept. Hi, Carlo.
Hey, Roland, how you doing? Hello, everybody.
Fine.
Hey, Carla, how are you?
Good.
So,
Are you driving, Molly?
I'm not driving, I'm riding. I'm being driven by my brother right now.
Okay.
wow, that's a quote for the books. I'm being driven by my brother. Anyway, nice to be an inspiration. Tell your brother we say hi. And Carlo, go ahead and tell people a little bit about who you are so that they know who you are, and it gives them a better idea, although not a complete idea, why I asked you into the Hangout today. Go ahead and tell a little bit about yourself.
I'm Carlos Savio. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm a business management consultant who is digitally fluent, and I work with companies here in the Las Vegas area, older business people, helping them succeed online.
Okay, thank you. And so, as you know, we are a lot of marketing people, and Carlo fits right in there. But he's beyond that. When I ask you this question, I don't necessarily think you're going to answer from the standpoint of a marketer. And that is because, as I was saying before, you can't separate selling from giving. And so if you're a marketer with your heart in the right place, it's always going to be involved with what it is behind the giving, what it is behind the selling, what it is behind the service. We have to lock it all in there and say, what is your purpose and why are you doing it in the first place? And that's the modus operandi that you and the route that you take as you engage in your marketing and in your business development. So this is the type of person you are. You're spiritual and mental as well as digital. Okay? So when I ask you the question for this year, whether you ran into it with a conversation in the Smarties or not, because you've been a lot of places before you got to Smarties, what is your takeaway for this year? And what do you think is one of the most important things that you can share with the people?
Gee, well, the takeaway, digital marketing is like life. You know, it's an ongoing process. I support all the things that I've learned here from Smarties. Once I became aware of your sessions, found it a real comfortable place to come and visit and hang around and listen to you, Karen, Molly, and other people who, bring information in.
Well, thank you. And to support that, the concept of the show, first of all, is that of education. And we're educating people. Yes, we are engaging people. Yes, we are engaging in video. Yes, we are engaging in social media. But we are basically educating people. We're educating ourselves as well. But the idea is we're sharing a wealth of knowledge. We're not broadcasting one way and telling everybody, we're the stuff, and you got to be here, and we tell it like it is, and this is invaluable, so we'll see you next week, and blah, blah, blah. No, it's like a learning experience that we can share what we know, but also incorporate what Karen knows, what Molly knows, what you know, and share it with people so that they can really benefit. And as a wrap-up of the year, this is the nature of our show, and I'm really glad that people are benefiting. Not only that, they're benefiting from a marketing standpoint, but they're also finding camaraderie and support for who they are and feeling good about being here and enjoying themselves. These things are all important to me.
That's what's so great about this technology is that you don't feel like if you're an independent, consultant, you're not necessarily working in a corporation and you're just by yourself. With this technology, it's like you can reach out to just talk, chat, hang out, however you communicate, anyone to just anybody anywhere in the world now. And a lot of it, of course, is free thanks to Google. But the idea is that I don't know everything, but maybe Carlos has the answer for me, and it's again a team. And that I hate that it's such an 80s term, but that whole idea of team building. But it really is now, when you work on anything now, you need not just yourself, but other people to kind of push that project along.
I totally agree, Karen. In fact, I was on Lynn Sanders' show yesterday, and she asked me what was one of my takeaways for the year, and one of the ones I said was team building. I mean, we can't do everything ourselves. Nobody knows everything, but we all have our own specialties. So when we can use team building and use a product like Google Hangouts on Air, we can get online, we can share our expertise about what it is we know. That can be invaluable. You can learn more from a tribe than you can from an individual.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is now. Is that we are, back to that community. We are one big community now, and that the idea of interacting and playing with each other. I know the term playing, but the idea is that if you have information and someone knows that you have information and you share, again, it's that building and that connecting that you find that you want to help that same person and vice versa, and it just keeps growing. And so I think the idea of where we are today in society is that we are one big happy, no, I won't say happy, but just one big large community that can help when needed.
Very good. And I would go ahead.
Roland,
you had something.
Yeah, in a humorous sense, one of the things I really enjoy about R&D Hotline or SMMM on Saturdays is there's no giant squeeze page during the show.
When the pitching goes up, the sales go down. I don't need to do that. I will follow up on this. This is part of my close for the day. The basic concept was, I felt like when I was networking in person in real life, I don't have to sell myself to sell myself. I just have to be myself. So the selling myself is like pushing the card, saying you've got a discount this month or this week, and trying to get people to bite when they don't want to bite. They don't want a piece of you. They don't need your work or don't need your help, and yet you want to make it really clear. It's for a short time only. You've got to buy now before the sale goes away. And it's like, yeah. Well, if I get the desire in the next few minutes, I'll call you. But I mean, they don't need your help. So the idea is you have to get to know people so that they like you and trust you, and when they need you, then they've got your card in their pocket or in their wallet or at home, but they'll be inclined to call you because they know, like, and trust you. What could be simpler than that?
I mean, it's back to loyalty again, right? I mean, you can't compete on price. There's just no way. I mean, unless you're Amazon and you've got, gazillions of dollars in the bank that you could sit there and stomp the little guy on price, you can. But most people can't. So you've got to come up with something different, right, to show what you are, what makes you so unique and what makes you so special, so that you can sell yourself when you need to. And when people think of you, they'll say, oh, yeah, Roland is that person that has that show, and he also does web design. I think I have a need for web design. I'm going to go contact Roland.
Absolutely.
And I would actually add to that, just real quickly, part of the sales process, the customer journey, we have something called the 0 moment of truth. And what that means is most people, they don't buy the first time. They look at 12 different references before they even decide to make that purchase. So with that in mind, going back to using Hangouts and letting your network, letting your audience learn about you, that is so key in order to be a success online.
Absolutely. And when you speak of the 0 moment of truth, that's just when the people decide that they are convinced that they know what they want. And they may or may not have the exact brand and the exact model in their mind. But when they decide in their hearts, I know I'm going to spend some money on this, they're convinced, then they go on a research project looking at a dozen more resources before they buy. And if you have the relationship with the people, you'll be one of the resources that they check. And that's maybe the most, in this age, maybe that's the most we can hope for, is be a consideration as one of the opportunities. But the good thing about it is if you've got a relationship and you're building that on an ongoing basis and people feel they can contact you, they're going to call you up, they're going to talk to you, and you have a chance to take the relationship further and explain exactly what you have to offer people. Well, you got the conversation. If you don't sell during the conversation, then the people need something other than that what you sell. And you can't look at it like, gee, I failed to sell. No, you just had the wrong product or service. But if you're being genuine and upfront, you're going to do the best you can, and you don't have to worry about it. Because if you've got a worthwhile service and you've got a worthwhile product, it's going to be of value, and there will be people to buy it. There are millions of people out there to buy. You'll get your share. Just be genuine. So what is so difficult about this formula? I swear to God, people have a lot of trouble with it. And when I'm consulting with people, one of the first things I say is, how good is your product or service? Is it worthy of being on page 1 of Google? Do you support your product? Do you spend a little bit of money on improvement and making it better, not just trying to advertise it? So these are things that I'm concerned with. And if I find out that people are in that group where they take pride in their product and there's an integrity to their business, that's the person I want to work with. And it occurred to me a little while ago when you were speaking, both Karen and Molly, that the two things that struck me that I use all the time is that JV partnerships are gold. And everything that we're doing, especially like showing right here on Smarties, these are strategic alliances. Now, you don't necessarily have to have a business partner, but you can have a JV partner, someone that you joint venture, link up with, and do something together, and you both profit from. And other than that, we were talking about doing things as a gang, doing things with a group, doing the power of the people in the grouping, and that's what I call strategic alliances. And I have a pretty vast strategic alliance squad. I have a lot of people that I hook up with in various ways, business-wise and friendship-wise, and we don't support each other just in business. If we're not friends, we're not in business. I mean, that's the way I do business. So I think that a lot of people might want to analyze how they do business and make sure that they're coming from the heart, really rooted, and you choose the right people to strategically ally with, whatever the term is. And plus, you pick your JV partners. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, I was going to say that again, it goes back to that whole idea of community and working and being with people that you want to be with, right? I mean, if you're going to have to work and make a living, right, you might as well work and make a living with people that you want to be with and that you want to work with, versus, working with someone that you don't want to be with, and it makes it more, conflict, driven, where you're just like, oh, I got to deal with that person, but yet he knows something. Versus, hey, I know Molly, she and I work really well together, and it makes it fun, and the time goes by quicker, and then also the ideas go back and forth a lot faster too, because both feel that they can share and not feel that they're going to, or either in competition or you're going to steal my idea. It's that collectiveness that, again, the way that we work today is a lot different than even 5 or 10 years ago.
It is vastly different, and the thing that always strikes me is how the world is catching up. I mean, they've been talking about social media. Social media is the place, it's the time, it's the now, and that's where all the marketing is going to happen. And I don't disagree with the concept in general. I do disagree with how they're using the facility of social media. Do you have any thoughts, Carlo, before I run and come out towards the end of our session here?
Okay, I was listening to Karen about working with certain people in environments, and this morning at breakfast in one of the casinos, a friend of mine was asking about a particular client of mine, and I said, yeah, for me the definition of a good client is somebody that I could get into a car in Las Vegas, drive all the way to LA and back, or San Diego or whatever, and not be annoyed, or not be like gee, are we there yet? That you just relax and enjoy the ride.
That's cool. And you know what? That's how life should be.
Actually, Carlos, it goes back to also too is that if you're the other idea, what the concept I find is that can you sit with somebody on a plane, going
Yes.
from East Coast to West Coast or vice versa, and you can actually have a conversation not about work but other things besides work. Then you know that this person is genuine and you actually want to work with them, versus if they're just going to talk about business all day long and then pump you for information or try to get something from you, you don't feel that there's no connection, right? I mean, and that's how we are today. I mean, you have to feel some sort of connection, like I know you, you know me, I know your family, you know my family. There's got to be some history, and I think that's where we are because of social media too. We're so open and so public with our information now that it just comes with the relationships that you kind of have to have that in order to work with somebody now.
Yes, absolutely. If you resonate with somebody, that using the French word, you have that rapprochement. You feel like you can work with them and you're comfortable. But I like your airplane because there's been many a time I wish I could just look out the window. Somebody trying to, if you define selling as trying to get somebody to buy something they don't need and don't want, then that's that mentality. But because the idea is, if you back somebody into a corner and you put your hand in their pocket, I'll bet you dollars to donuts they're going to break your hand. But if you try to help somebody and they see that you're trying to help them, the relationship just keeps plussing.
I would go so far as to say, if you're not reaching into their pocket, we lost Molly, I'm so sorry about that. But if you're not reaching into their pocket and you're actually there to help, chances are they're reaching into their own pocket to figure out some way to pay you something for something. And they want to help you back. They want to bring you business. They want to help you. And that's what they call raving fans. When people are willing to speak to you and support you, and they want you to benefit and prosper, even if it's just to give you a buck out of their pocket, they want to help you. And that's the kind of relationships I want to have, because when the time is right, I will be willing to exchange their goodwill and their efforts and their money even for something that I can offer them that is of value and that is well placed and meaningful and a fair exchange amidst the friendship relationship. So that's the way I like to do business.
And also too, when you think about it, it's the connection too. So that if you refer Carlos to me, for example, right? I know that you know Carlos, and I like you, you like me, kind of thing. It's like the barrier of can Carlos be trusted or not has been, that's been squashed. Where it's like, if I like you, you like me, you like Carlos, then it's something that you can have a relationship, and it builds on quickly because the tie is basically you, Roland, and so you feel that connection, and I think again. Where they used to be in the old days, references, right? And like you can call references. Now it's kind of like socially, right? If you're not on social media and you don't know so-and-so and they don't know so-and-so, you kind of are leery about that individual. And also you can also find out a lot about an individual just looking online. By doing a Google search. By just doing a Google search nowadays.
Somebody recently told me that we were talking about a particular person, and they said, well, he doesn't do that anymore. And I said, oh, what happened? Did the law catch up with him? No, the internet caught up with him.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Yeah, that's an interesting statement, because I think that we carry our own field of judges out of the human network. You can't lie and get away with it in social media, because somebody finds out eventually. I think that point was made earlier, and once they find out, then everybody knows, and so there's just no way. You got to be your authentic self.
Yeah, they create their own rip-off reports.
Absolutely, and you stand in there in glaring lights, and there, lo and behold, you are revealed to the world through your own self efforts. So it might as well be good efforts, and even if you don't achieve what you think you would like to, if you were a really great marketing agent, at least you're genuine and you have good relationships and you feel good about what you do. But I have a further thought that'll carry over. If you really feel good about something, that's what you should be into. You should dig your heart and soul into it, and eventually it'll get bigger. And that leads to my wrap up on the concept, and then we'll just have a free-for-all for a few minutes. But first of all, let me find out what happened to Molly. Oh, her network is really weak because she's driving through a part of the country that she can't maintain her signal. So sorry about that, Molly.
In Douglas, Georgia, they have dial-up.
Now.
I'm only kidding, Molly. I'm only kidding. I've been through Douglas, Georgia a couple of times.
Well, she's just driving through town, so don't relate who she is with where she is.
Put aluminum strips on the antenna.
Well, Molly is from Florida, so she's more. I'll just put my foot in my mouth now and get on with it.
You know, Roland, changing the topic, I think you might want to post up Dr. Margaret's comment about things that she's learned for the year. I think to share with the audience.
It's huge, and I don't have room for the whole thing, and you really should read what Dr. Margaret says. But the part that I like, and I'll quote this because I capture the end of it, I'm now encouraged to do more, to be more, to inspire, and to persevere. And those are the exact words. God bless you and all, and thank you. And thank you, Dr. Margaret, for I had that captioned so that we could add that to the show here. Because inspiration and perseverance are two of my favorite words. And my theory is that whatever age you are, and you people who know the audience from one end of the spectrum to another know that I mean this. Whatever age you are, you can be success. And I'm hoping this for myself, so I guess I'm a good enough example. But you can be. You can do something beyond what you think you can now. And my takeaway for the year is basically you don't know what you're capable of until you step out and explore. Because as a good example, Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties started out as a little Southern California group of coffee people on a Saturday morning and connecting online because we didn't want to drive 30 miles between where I live in Huntington Beach or where I live in Irvine or San Clemente. And we just decided, well, let's just get together online. We can talk about the subject and not have anybody drive. How wonderful! And that's the thinking when we started the thing, because we were trying to do something, and we were trying to do something locally for Orange County, Southern California people. So we formed this group, and we were talking about marketing. Well, lo and behold, the whole thing evolved into a hangout on air, so nobody had to drive. Wow, imagine that. So late in 2014, Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties was born. And then 2 months later, I met Karen, and all of a sudden she goes, why are you thinking about locally? Why are you thinking that? Your message is global, and you can be global. And all of a sudden, because of her contacts and the various things that she was showing me, I was like, oh, crap. I'm being exposed to people all over the world. And all of a sudden, people were watching from Australia and Spain and Europe and Britain and the East Coast, and I'm going, wow, it's not Saturday morning, right, what these people are. And I just
don't forget Asia too. You had a Singapore, Malaysia.
All over Asia, we had people, and some of them still revisit us and come and spend time. And I thank them very much for their time and being with us when they do. And we still have some friends that we made globally. And so my takeaway is that don't think you know exactly where your business can go. You don't know where your business can go. And you don't know what you're capable of. And the world is changing, so opportunities are changing constantly, and you don't know what you don't know. So the idea is you have to get an education, you have to try. So when you link up the different concepts that we've been talking about today, perseverance, inspiration, and by the way, I firmly believe inspiration trumps motivation any day of the week. If you have to be motivated, there's a little bit of reluctance there or a little bit of lack of energy or whatever. But when you're inspired, you're going to do whatever it takes because you're there. You're behind it 100%, and you will devote every ounce of energy you have to something when you're inspired. Plus, it's going to be probably a better message. Plus, when you deliver the message, it's going to be a lot more impactful. So go with inspiration and don't settle. And if people are in marketing to sell something they don't believe in, that's a good 80% of the advertising market. Gee, I can sell this thing because I can make a buck. But when you're inspired to do something because you're behind the cause and the purpose and the service, then something can really catch fire and you can really help people. And that's the thing to get behind.
Yeah, so Roland, my mantra actually for 2015 was be bold, bring it on, and kick butt.
I like that mantra.
And the fact is, I think with age that you can't be afraid, right? It goes back to Molly about don't quit. You have to keep going at it, and the information is out there. I mean, you can get the information. A lot of it is free. A lot of it you may have to pay, but you can get that information. You can get that learning, and you can always continuously learn. I mean, I see it every day. I see it with people of all ages. You just have to be open enough to want to learn. And if you can do it and learn and take that time, you'd be amazed how much information that you can attain, and then realize that eventually you become the subject matter expert. And
Absolutely.
people come to you, and it just kind of builds on that, because it's like, wow, I didn't realize that I knew this information, and you all start speaking this language, and it's like, whoa, I guess something did kind of sink in. So going back to that whole idea is you gotta be bold. You can't be afraid. You have to take the chance, because if not, someone's just going to stomp on you, or the world's going to just go past you now just because of this technology.
So risk is a major thing, and education is a major thing. But let's draw a line from point A to point B. Risk and education are one and the same nowadays. It doesn't cost millions of dollars to go into business. It doesn't even cost thousands of dollars to go into business. It can just cost you the time and effort to do it. And if you're a solo entrepreneur or you're a solo individual wanting to do something, you can start a business from nothing. And Molly is evidence of that, and I'm evidence of that. Maybe we are all evidence of that. We started someplace, but we built it into something because we persevered and we learned and we tried hard and we kept at it. We did not quit, as Molly would say. And so my takeaway is simply, you don't know how big your business can go. You don't know how many people you can help, but it's there to learn what you can do. And so we are all about discovering ourselves, and that's what we are doing in 2015, and that's what we'll continue to do in 2016. It's just going to expand and expand and expand. So we're just about to wrap it up. If anyone has any final take on their ideas on what their takeaway is for 2015, and I think we've covered it pretty well.
Well, I think, for the folks that are out there listening right now, if you could actually put your thoughts out there on the comment thread, it'd be great to actually see what your ideas were for what you learned for the year. Randy and Gary, if you're out there, it would be interesting to find out what your thoughts are, since now you know what ours are.
Absolutely. And if I had been more on the ball, I would have been asking the question of the audience from the get-go, because I want the feedback of what your takeaway is, not just what ours in the green room, but even if we wrap it up and end it, I'll be reading the comments, and I would appreciate everyone taking a few moments and just posting, what is your takeaway? Because maybe next week we'll go over what the people's takeaway was, and talk about the things that you bring up, and maybe say, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and spend 15 minutes talking about your subject. So tell us what your takeaway was, what you gained out of 2015, and what the value was that you're taking away and that you will keep as you go into 2016. We are on the edge of a new era, a new year, and the start of something new. And hopefully all of you are looking forward to the same type of thing, something new for 2016. And I think with that, we'll wrap it up. I appreciate everyone showing up for Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Thank you, Karen, and thank you, Molly, wherever you are. And thank you, Carlo, for joining us, too. I really appreciate it. Oh, she popped in to say goodbye.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Molly, did you have any last words on our session on the takeaway for the year?
Yeah, hang on a second. Let me get my earbuds on the background. I'm sorry, guys. I hit a dead spot.
That's okay. I'm glad you returned before the end here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just better. We kind of hear the broken transmission, but keep on talking. Oh, unfortunately, doesn't have a really good connection, but I'm glad she popped in near the end there, at least, so that we can say hi, Molly.
Yeah, sorry, I hit a dead spot. We turned onto a different highway, and
We're catching you in little tiny bits. So the main thing is that Molly, you're showing us a very good example of perseverance, and I appreciate you coming and joining us. I'm sorry your reception is and connectivity is not the best, but thank you very much for showing up. I appreciate your contributions, and Karen, appreciate yours, and Carla, you too, and just probably the biggest takeaway for everybody. And I want to hear what your takeaway is too. But one from this day is don't give up. So whether you're in movement, in processing, or in an outreach, or whatever you are, don't give up. Don't quit. And with that, we'll sign off from Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Thank you, everybody. Good day.